Alright, hello. So I'm going to show you how I started experimenting with Java cards. So Java cards are a little smart card platform, and you can buy them. I got them from the smartcardsource.com. I have no affiliation with them, but they're in Canada, so it's really handy for me. So you can buy different size Java cards. I think I got something like this guy, 40k of EEPROM space, and you can get logos on them and everything if you want. So it's cool if you want, for access control or something like that. All you need is a Java card and you need the reader. So I'm using, I think, one of these SCM type readers. So, like $20. There's even cheaper ones. What else do they have? No. These are all $20. There's even really cheap ones that fit into your computer. So if I go to eBay, for example, smart card reader, and as far as I know, they're all the same. They use this same standard. So let's see if we can find some cheap ones. So you can get some of the these multi-card readers. Some of them even have smart card slots in them. So I don't know if this one does. I don't think it does, but no. So they don't actually mean smart cards, but you can find them for like $1 or $2. So there's one. There we go. Dollar. And you could plug them into like a Raspberry Pi or something and talk to them through Python. So they're pretty easy to make a actually quite secure access control system. All right, so assuming you had some smart cards, we need some other tools. So I use this global platform shell, GP shell, to talk to the smart card. And I use it for sending raw commands, which you can also do in Python, which will be a little cleaner. But this is really easy for initial scripting. We also need this program, and you don't actually need this, but I'm just showing you how I did stuff. So I used a bunch of different programs. This OpenKMS global platform. So the JP shell, as far as I know, isn't as actively maintained, it seems. So this program seems to be a lot cleaner and moving towards a much nicer interface, and it's easier to work with. So this I'll use to install and delete Applet. So an applet being your Java program. Finally, to make the program, I'm using Eclipse. So I tried NetBeans, I'll warn you this, and I wasn't able to generate the final file in a format that would work on the card. So I'm just showing you what worked for me. So the other thing you'll find reference to is this JCOP tools, which I believe you need to sign an NDA to get. So again, I'm trying to avoid any of that and make this really easy. So first you need the Java Card Development Kit 2.2.2. It's just a zip file, and you basically unzip the content somewhere. And then you have to have an Eclipse installed if you don't install it. And you download Eclipse JCDE, which is just a bunch of files that you extract to your Eclipse directory. So Eclipse directory, and you don't have to use the version they want. So basically it gives you a bunch of these files. And all you do is you plug them right into my Eclipse directories here, plugins, and somewhere way down here, there's those JCDE files. I don't even know where they are, but anyway, they're just popped in with this directory, and you restart Eclipse and it just works. You also don't need to use the version they're claiming. So let me pull my Eclipse over. Here's I use Eclipse for other stuff for Python. So I'm using 4.2.2, and that worked with those same files. So whatever. So let's say you're here, you've done the install. Everything's rock and rolling. So what do? We go new project, not new Java project, new project. Java card project here. Hit next. So we'll give it a name, test jcard. Yeah, whatever. So I also don't do a lot of Java programming, so some of these names I'm just gonna make up. So new package and jcard test. No, taboo test jcard. And then we'll make our main class jcard test. All right, so here we go. jcard test is our class. So it gives us this sort of useless thing. So I'm going to copy over. I found a hello world example, which you can find, and then I modified a tiny bit. So I'm just going to copy that right over. And let's change the class name to reflect what I want. So this JCard test, and what's the package? Oh, that's right. Test JCard. Change all the names. I should have used Eclipse refactoring, but whatever. All right, there we go. So theoretically, so stuff just auto compiles if you haven't used Eclipse before. So you don't build anything; it just builds automatically. So what's this program doing? Let's open this up here. This is the main part. So process APDU, this is your IO more or less. So it gets a command, it receives it. So I mean, you can make up your own protocol if you want to just hack something together. So it receives it. In this case, it just throws away the data. So the original program did an echo. I've modified it so it actually does a few counter loops. So it just runs through a few counters and outputs the total of the addition. So, you know, I'm just doing this to show a little bit different of math. And also, if you want to test how reliable the cards are, this is a convenient way to do it. So it then outputs the value of the counters, the inner and outer loops. And it has this sum. It's just incremented. So I don't know, for a simple example, that's something. We create a new outgoing. So we have this +5. +5 is because there's a header that it's inserting first. So it sends the header first, and then it sends the data. It's based on the echo example, so it just sends back the same header. It's a super dumb thing. All right. So again, this is auto-compiled. So the only thing we really have to do now is under this Java card, we have to set two things. So we have to set the Applet ID and the package ID. So the Applet ID is how we'll reference the applet. And we also have this package ID, which you also have to set. So it gives you some default one. So I'm going to use D0, D1, D2, D3, D4, D5, 0, 0. So this is what I was using previously, I believe. Or how about 0, 1? And then the applet ID. So this is the AID, applet AID. So when we do the install, we reference them by this. So I have 0, 1, 0, 1. All right, so then I click on the packet. So the final thing we have to do is generate this cat file. So the cat file is what is actually installed to the card. So I just go Java card convert, and we should get this conversion complete with 0 warnings. What you might get, so if you haven't changed one critical property I forgot to mention, is the Java compiler. I've changed it to the 1.5 version. So, and I just set it under the workspace properties. If you don't do this, so let's say it's still set to 1.7, what will happen, let's let it rebuild. When you try to run the convert, it'll give you this, hey, unsupported version. So, and that's because you need to set the Java card, whatever version it's compiling for, or Java version, sorry, something like that, to 1.5 for the older tools to work. So it's easy enough. All right, convert, 0 errors. All right, so step 2 is we are going to install this sucker to the card. And let's pull a window over here. So I have a just Windows command prompt and have that jp.exe file. So jp.exe was the OpenKMS, this guy here. So you can download an exe somewhere. Let's see, release area. So you just download gp.exe and run it. Could not be easier. You might need, I don't know if I already had the drivers for talking to a smart card, but basically I have a smart card reader here. If I insert a smart card and do -I, it'll just dump the ATR of the smart card. And then if I do -L for list, it'll list what's installed on the smart card already. So I actually already have installed this D0D10101 app because I was testing this earlier. But I'm going to reinstall it. So as a note, if you to do this list requires the correct keys. If you either have the wrong keys or a incorrect card, you might get various errors. And you have to be careful because if you try this too many times, it actually locks your smart card. So I think you only have less than 10 tries, and your smart card becomes permanently locked. So like if there's one, but it's giving me some errors, different errors. And one card actually had a Java card that I bought from a shop, and it was giving me these errors because right now the program's just trying default keys. And the issue was the card had never been personalized. So basically, it had never, it didn't have the correct keys loaded at all. So it was simply an error. I just was sent a new exact same card, but one that had been set up correctly, and it worked just like this. So this is what you should get. And again, if you don't get that, be warned that you can only try a few times, and you can never try again at some point. All right, so I'm gonna delete that applet. So you see this D0, D1, D2, D3, D4, D5, 0101 applet. So if I list again, you can see that one of them is gone, but there's still one there. So let's delete the 01 whole package, not just the class. Oops, sorry. -list. So there we go. So this is what you'll probably see. Is -L. Just nothing. So it has this the security AID, which is sort of the default one that'll be in there. So what we will want to do is there's this install option, and all you do is you just give it that file that's generated. So what file do I give it? So let's go to my documents. Where is it? So somewhere in documents there's like Eclipse, Java. Oh no, it's in my workspace, sorry. So where is my workspace? It's right here. I knew it. So I have this Eclipse test. So this is when Eclipse booted, I told it where's my workspace. So it's this one here. And we can see under source the Java card program. And this is the file where we're looking for that cap file. So I think it's only there. Okay, it gets copied to both spots. So under bin, we want testjcard.cap. And I just drop it back in the same spot as the gp.exe. And testjcard.cap. And hopefully it installed, and then I can do list, and there it is, it's installed. So when I was trying to do this before with NetBeans, I'll show you what I got instead. It would give me these load fail exceptions. And you can debug more info, so the keys are working, but it just gives this load failed. So I supposedly this load failed is just sort of a generic error. If you compiled against the wrong version or stuff like that, it doesn't work. So I don't know. It never worked for me. So the final thing we want to do is make it do something. So in JP Shell, we use these script commands. So let me save this as a new file. I'll just call it scriptyoutube.txt and delete all the other crap. So basically, all I do is I connect to the card. So enable trace, establish context, card connect. I select AID, so this is the critical part. So this is that AID, the address, I guess you could call it, that I had specified in Eclipse, and you notice that that's where it installed the applet. So it has that D0, D1. And then now that my ID is selected, I can send it a APDU, and this will just get processed by the system. So I'm sending it, and you sort of have to look at what the underlying meaning of the APDU is to understand this, but I'm sending it in the end just 1 data byte AE. My program totally ignores the data bytes. It doesn't care about that. But I just send it something for the hell of it. So JP shell, and what did I call this file? Script YouTube. All right, so what do we see here? We sent it the command. So this is handy. It actually tells you the raw APDU that it's being sent out over the wire. It gets back 9,000 okay. We then send this APDU, so you can see the raw over the wire down here, and we get back this response. So this response, again, you have to do a little bit of understanding of yourself. So this part is our data, and then 9,000 is the response. So 02, 03E8, 07D0. And if you look back at the program, this is basically, close that, this section here. So the outer loop counter, which we expect to be 2, it runs through 2. The inner loop counter, which we expect to be 1,000, which is 3E8 in hex. And then this iterations, which should be 1,000 times 2, which, again, in hex, it is correct. So there you go. I've actually communicated with the real world with a Java program. So that's pretty cool. Now, what else might you want to do? You probably eventually would like to have some sort of Python script for this. So I'm just going to show you briefly. So we can sort of do the same type of thing, but in Python. So in Python, we're going to use PyScard. So you can, I assume you've installed the module. If not, you'll have to install that to your Python. And there's a whole bunch of examples here that are really good. So we're going to do something like this first example. So import readers, and then r equals readers. So we're just look for our smart card reader. There we go. Create a connection. Oops. And connect. Cool. So now if we want to send data, it's actually pretty simple. We just do this, and then we just need the data in hex. So what data are we going to send? Well, we'll go back to our, not there, our example, and I'm just going to copy that data. So I want to send that in a list, and obviously you could make a Python function to parse this, but I'm just gonna, for this real quick example, manually do that. So you can check what the response was. So we got 9000 probably. So that's fine. So things worked. And then what's the next thing we send? So now we send data to our program. So, oops, come on. Connection.transmit. Oops. And same deal as before. Just going to convert it into a Python list. And there it's just printed the response. So again, this is 9,000 okay. And it's the last 6 bytes are from our program again. So we have 2 loops through the outer time. This is equivalent to 1,000. So remember, it's 3 times 256 plus 232. Oops. Is 1,000. And then 7 times 256 plus 208 is 2,000. So the total counter. So there you go. So you've built a program in Java on a Java card, and then you can talk to it from Python. So that is a pretty cool example of how this whole system works, and hopefully you found it useful. As I mentioned, there'll be links in the description of the video to all the programs I ran with. All right, thanks.